So you want a gorgeously organized and neat home, but no matter how many pins on Pinterest or labels you make, it always eventually turns into disarray. You've come to the right place. Let's start with what the problem is not. The problem isn't that you're not trying hard enough, that you don't have the right organization containers, or that you aren't color coding your Legos, God forbid. And you definitely don't need to create a new organization board on Pinterest. So let me tell you what the problem is. Either number one, your home is too cluttered and you have too many things, or number two, you haven't found a system that works for you and your family and the amount of time you can commit to organization. And that's not something that all the pins in Pinterest or all the best intentions in the world can fix, because it's not about products, it's about the process. So instead of telling you what products to buy or systems to follow, I'm going to tell you 5 key principles of organization and some general tips to help you craft an easily organized home on your terms for lazy people like me. Listen, we want absolutely no extra calories burned in the making of your organized home, okay? We're not going to create a new system or a new pattern of behavior. Instead, we're going to create forms of organization that work within your current patterns of living. Number one, I want you to notice where you or your family members already have a habit of dropping items. Where are those piles? Maybe it's your entry, maybe it's your kitchen table. Secondly, we're going to place intentional drop zones where piles naturally occur. Listen, we're not trying to ask someone to carry their shoes all the way from the entry up to their bedroom. That would be way too much effort for lazy people like me. Do keys and mail always end up at the front door? Find a designated drawer or pretty container to toss them into at that location. Do kids' toys commonly show up in piles in your living room? Create a simple bin or basket system that works for you in that living room or in that playroom, or repurpose a piece of furniture that's currently in one of those spaces as storage for those items. Do clothes always end up on the floor instead of hanging in your closet? Guilty as charged. Have a bin for t-shirts or a bin for workout clothes. Or maybe you're like me and you just have a basket for clean clothes. For when you don't have time to put things away, you can throw them in that basket. Whatever works for you. Remember, we want to minimize the possibility of any extra calories being burned in the implementation of your organization scheme. Building on the last one, let's talk about closed storage and some of my favorite options that include but also go beyond baskets and bins. So we've identified where the piles are. We've identified and thought through where we want to put our drop zones. Now let's get some closed storage or transition current storage options in your home into closed storage. Listen, open shelving is absolutely gorgeous, but be realistic if you're someone who wants beautifully curated open shelves, but you're not likely to actually maintain them. Because quickly that gorgeous curated open shelving moment turns into a dusty, claustrophobic collection of tchotchkes and dying hopes and dreams. So instead of trying to achieve a level of organization that goes against your nature, just fake it by hiding your items instead. Do you find that your laptop and paperwork end up in a stack in your living room? Baskets are fantastic, and if that's what you already have, then definitely use it. But you can also think about other closed storage options that are furniture-based or options around your home that you can repurpose. So that might be a closed side table where you can store things next to your couch, or maybe even using a file cabinet as a side table. These are always my preference when I can use it, because it kind of hides closed storage organization options rather than having 30 baskets sitting around your home. Do your TV remotes always end up sitting on your coffee table? Then maybe you can get a coffee table with storage options with drawers, or find a beautiful box and put it on your coffee table for your remotes. Do kids' toys or jackets always end up on the floor or on a surface in your entry? Then get a closed console table, or maybe it's just a basket with a lid. Put it in your entry for things to be dumped inside. The key is to make it easily accessible and placed in a similar or preferably the exact same location as where those piles would naturally occur. Don't fight the system, work with it. Now, you can buy these items or you can just repurpose items you already have in your home, okay? This is a principle, so let's not be legalistic. Thirdly, we want to think about using the vertical space. Don't be afraid to put hooks on the walls or other items on the walls so that you can hang jackets and purses. Listen, if you can utilize vertical space for things like built-ins or cabinets, obviously that's ideal, but we're lazy over here, so let's be realistic if that's not actually going to happen. This goes for under your bathroom sink as well. I swear, under my bathroom sink is some sort of scary portal where things go to die. Once I put something under the sink, I'm honestly probably never going to find it again. So try to use vertical space even in places like under your cabinets so that doesn't happen. Now, what we're not going to do is place all our little items in pretty little boxes that are stacked, because whenever we need something, we're going to have to move all those boxes, and eventually that system is going to fall apart. What we are going to do is get some sort of tiered system, or better yet, a tiered lazy Susan-like item where we can easily grab items that we need and easily place them back. Oftentimes our spaces are cluttered with way too many things, and it prevents us from enjoying the things that we actually love and use in our space. And that's something that not even a storage basket will solve. Now, you don't need to convert to extreme minimalism, but here are a few general tips you can use to help you cut down on the amount of clutter in your home if you don't know where to start. Firstly, I want you to take one item in your home per day, or whatever works for you, and ask yourself, A, is it something I use regularly? Or B, is it something that makes me especially happy or joyful, whatever that means to you? If it doesn't meet either of those two criteria, I want you to set it aside in a box somewhere. And if you need more guidance on how often is often, or what bringing joy means, then you probably don't use it often enough and it probably doesn't bring you that much joy. And I want you to do this with all of the items in your space, even decorative items as well. Keep doing this, and then after 3 months or the timetable of your choice, if you haven't needed or thought of the item in that box, get rid of it. I find that this is especially helpful for items that I feel sentimental about or I feel guilty about getting rid of, because so many of us have a home full of items that maybe we wouldn't specifically have picked out for ourselves or don't necessarily bring us joy, but for whatever reason, we feel guilty about getting rid of them and we don't feel like we can just take them to Goodwill. This system of purging helps me loosen my grip on those items and realize that it's better to give these to a better home where they will be more appreciated, because they're not doing anyone any good collecting dust either in my attic or on my living room mantle. I also find decluttering is sometimes easier done as a consistent ritual over time than when we treat it like this overwhelming task that must be done in one sitting. So adapt this process to fit your personality and lifestyle. Now, for the items that you don't use on a daily or weekly basis, but you definitely want to keep them, I want you to store those in areas that aren't in prime real estate. By that, I mean the items you reach for daily should be easily accessible, whether that's in your coffee table, on easy to reach shelves, in the closet, etc. And your less needed items should be stored in those harder to reach spots. This will ensure that those more frequently used items will be put away, because you're lessening the energy involved in putting them in their designated spot. Again, for those harder to reach spots, for those things I don't use as often, I like to use baskets or bins in those locations, because I can just throw the items in and I don't have to worry about keeping them neatly organized. This tip doesn't require you to declutter anything at all. I simply want you to corral. If you're anything like me, your bathroom sink, for example, always ends up covered in items. In this case, I want you to use something like a tray and just corral all of your items, plop them on that tray, and you're done. Does your living room mantle currently look like the land of long lost toys? Or Simply stack those items on top of a book or corral items in groupings of 3. Ideally, differ the height of those objects as well. The goal here is to make a group of items visually appear as one item to our eye. It's about tricking our eyes into thinking we are more organized than we actually are. Another way to corral items is by using dividers. You can buy a ton of different options online, or you can use things like shoe boxes or other containers that you may already have in your home. Using dividers allows you to easily toss items into an area they belong while still remaining organized. Don't forget, you don't have to over-segment your items. Simply group similar items together in whatever groupings make sense in your brain, while keeping those groupings small enough that you're still able to find what you need. For example, I'm not going to coil my chargers every time I put them in a drawer. I don't care how many Velcro items you give me, it's not going to happen. But I can group my phone chargers together and my laptop chargers together and still access what I need. All right, people, I forgot to do an outro. But remember, good home organization is about making your life easier, not harder. And that means you have to find a system that works for you. Even if that's putting items in random places that make no sense to anyone else. If it's a system that works for you, then you will maintain it. And if you maintain it, it will naturally have an impact on your home's interior design. Don't beat yourself up. Your home is perfect just the way it is. Messes and disorganization are a normal part of life. Some people are just better at hiding it than others. So that's all I had to say. Until next time. Here I am.